Minecraft Snapshot 20W11A hasn't added much. Some twisted vines, nether gold ore, and a new enchantment, but other than that, nothing incredibly useful for building. Which is why today I'm going to be combining this snapshot and the previous one for my new 1.16 build hacks video. This means we also have access to invisible item frames, which are an amazing new feature for builders with access to commands. Anyway, let's get right into these builds. And my first design uses both the twisting vines and the brand new invisible item frames, which I'll get onto in just a moment. However, this is a really awesome fish tank design. If you don't actually want the water or the fish in your house, it looks really cool. Now this works so well as seaweed. It's kind of got a bluey tint, so it kind of looks kind of oceanic or even otherworldly, and it just looks really nice as some kind of seaweed, especially twisting in the water current or whatnot. And the item frames using these as fish, which looks like they're actually swimming around. It actually looks kind of cool. And if you're wondering, I have a waterlogged stair block underneath the coral just to keep it alive so it doesn't turn into a dead coral. Next up, I've got some kind of crop, and this is probably some kind of beanstalk. It does look like a beanstalk. You can imagine these bits here being some kind of beans or something, and you could also imagine this going up to the sky with some kind of tower or something right at the top, a giant's tower, and it is possible to climb these as well. And if you put string on top as well, it will stop them growing, just like things like sugarcane and bamboo and things like that. But this just looks like a really awesome field design, just really nice and tranquil, and it does have a really nice new crop that doesn't necessarily have to grow. It's just perfectly decorational if you want it to be like that. Moving on, a very simple design just as some kind of stem. Now this actually grows on a variety of blocks including terracotta or just dirt, so you can have all kinds of plant pot designs, and while it doesn't perfectly connect to the block, as you can see here, there is a tiny gap in between. Same with this one here. It does look kind of cool as just some kind of plant stem, and it just looks really nice. Moving on from the twisted vine, we've actually got the nether gold ore, and this is a brand new ore block. It only drops gold, that's all it does, but it's a brand new ore block that can be found in the nether, and it looks really molten, really hot, and that's why I like to mix it with magma blocks and netherrack next to a lava pool. As you can see, right next to the lava we've got the magma blocks, then it's gradiating into this nether gold ore. It kind of looks like it's still seeping through. It's got a vein just traveling along there, and then it gradiates finally into just netherrack. It does look really cool. And while Jappa is changing the texture one more time because he personally thinks it doesn't look too great, I'm sure it'll be used for similar purposes after that. Next up, this design would fit quite nicely in some kind of blacksmith, and this one here would fit quite well in some kind of market. It looks kind of like some kind of spices. I always have this design, to be honest, but in a barrel, some red and orangey yellow spices in a barrel. That looks kind of cool. And over here we have some of the honey blocks mixed with the nether gold ore, some lava and some gold, just acting like some kind of gold cast. So the golden ore has been smelted down into this gooey gel, which has been smelted into the fully gold block. I'm not exactly sure if that's how it would work, but it does kind of make it look like that is what's happening. So I do really like how that turned out. The next few designs are only going to be the item frames, nothing else. And before I get into these, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, and it is really awesome, and it does reduce lag so you don't have to use invisible armor stands. Firstly, place an item frame in whatever formation you want and place any block or item you desire in the item frame. Then type /data merge entity, then continuously press tab until you get a bunch of scrambled numbers and letters. That is the ID of that entity. Then type in bracket invisible :1b close bracket and you get the invisible block. I'll link that in the description as well, so you can just copy and paste it if you want to, and then you should get an invisible item frame just like so. Now you can add some cool designs, and to begin with I'm just going to go for a natural setting. To begin with, I've got some apples in the trees. Now I did actually try the actual item that called the apple, but I didn't use that. Instead I went for the rose bush just because it looks a little more realistic. It looks a little better, it merges well with the leaves, and they're just slightly smaller, better looking apples, or even berries of any other kind. You could have a row of leaves with these to act like strawberries or something in a field. Then around the base I have some sticks which just look really nice and atmospheric. It adds so much to a forest floor, it looks really nice, and it's probably one of my favourite designs. And I've also got some stone slabs, and some stone stairs, just adding kind of chunks of stone around the base of this rock as if it's broken or crumbled away, or people have just walked along a stony path. It just looks really nice and adds quite a lot to a build. Next up, we've got 3 designs in one. To begin with, we've got a nice little table with just some item frames with cooked fish or food or whatever you want. I did try with the weighted pressure plates as plates, but unfortunately the item actually goes a bit lower down when you make it invisible, and it doesn't quite work like it normally would. We also have some tools just hanging over. You could have maybe some armor, leather armor, hanging over fire, possibly to dry or something, but this is what I went for, just some tools hanging up on a rack. And we also have some fish just caught in the net, which looks kind of cool. You could have this by a river as some kind of storage for fish, which looks really nice in my opinion. For this design, I actually revisited a path that I did in one of my videos previously. I actually did a modern looking road. So in the center I have a road, and on the side I have some pavements. Now to begin with, I have a traffic light, and I used exactly the same design with the item frames, but now I've actually made them invisible, which makes it look so much better. It looks absolutely fine with the item frames, but it just looks a tiny bit better when you make it invisible, so it looks really awesome in that scenario. You can also add litter to the floor with bits of empty maps or paper, some grey dye, cocoa beans, netherite scraps, phantom membranes, all kind of things look like litter. You can really use whatever you desire. I think it looks really awesome, just adding a little bit more detail into a cityscape. Moving on to my penultimate design, I have a chicken pen, and I've actually used this nest design before in my 8 farms videos, and this looks really awesome just with the horn coral on a waterlogged spruce slab with a stripped birch wood block in the center, and now you can make the item frame invisible. It just looks that tiny bit more realistic. Also, you could add some melon seeds or some cocoa beans just to make it look like the chickens have been doing their business. Yeah, it kind of looks like chicken or sheep or rabbit droppings just in the corner of the pen, just adding a bit more realism. My final design could be used for anything, but in this scenario it's more for an adventure map. But really it could be used in any kind of hallway, it could be marking your water elevators or just anything. And for this example I've used a jump boost pad with some quartz stairs pointing as arrows, and I've got a speed pad with some nether brick stairs or some stone stairs. Really just any kind of stairs. Looks like a really awesome looking arrow. It honestly looks so cool, and this is probably my favourite design out of the lot of them. For this one I've got the slow falling and just a little platform at the bottom. It just makes it look super cool, just adding that tiny extra bit of detail to your parkour course or whatever you're using it for. And those are all of the designs. I hope you liked how they turned out. I'm really loving these brand new item frame mechanics, and I'm also really interested to see what can happen with these brand new vine blocks. They look so cool and they have so many cool uses. I can't wait to use them myself. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please as usual leave any suggestions down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.